This episode of Yesterworld is sponsored by Skillshare, and make sure to stay to the end to get a behind-the-scenes look at how I created some of the effects in the video, and learn how you can grow your passions and hobbies using Skillshare. And if you're among the first 250 people to sign up using my link in the description, you'll get 2 months of Skillshare Premium for absolutely free. Throughout the history of Disneyland, many of the park's restaurants have come and gone over the years, and much like attractions of the past, some are directly tied to the evolution of Disneyland, whether for better, worse, or in some cases, somewhere in between. In 1975, Space Mountain made its debut at the Magic Kingdom, and was unsurprisingly an instant success, so it made perfect sense to bring the indoor roller coaster to Disneyland in 1977.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Disneyland. I'm your host for this evening's wonderful show, and my name is Kurt Russell.
And instead of removing the Tomorrowland stage, which occupied Space Mountain's planned location, it was decided to give the venue a more permanent home, so it was reconstructed and built into Space Mountain Show Building.
Jettison Disneyland 1, Space Mountain Code 2, clear for takeoff.
And along with the Galactic Indoor Roller Coaster and updated stage, in between Space Mountain's original escalator entrance and to the right of the Mission to Mars show building came a new quick-service restaurant called the Space Place, which served the typical assortment of burgers, hot dogs, and fountain drinks. And for a time, the location was an excellent way to view the performances in the outdoor venue.
Never, until now, have you ever experienced anything like Captain EO.
However, in the mid-1980s, this was drastically changed, as it was decided to convert the stage into an indoor theater to house the 3D spectacular Captain EO. And while the Space Place lost a little of its luster, at the very least, you could still get a fantastic view of the People Mover from the second floor. And while the food service continued on throughout the late 80s and early 90s, the premature closure of the nearby Mission to Mars attraction, done in preparation for the first planned incarnation of Alien Encounter, which was to be the star attraction of the initially planned 1994 overhaul of Tomorrowland, would ultimately prove to be its demise, as due to the budget constraints connected with the financial disaster of Euro Disneyland, the new Tomorrowland would drastically be scaled back from the original plan, and it was decided that Alien Encounter would instead make its debut at the Magic Kingdom. So without the budget for a replacement attraction to reside within the former Mission to Mars theater, it was decided to convert the former attraction into a restaurant and close down Space Place, utilizing the first floor of the quick services seating area and transforming the second floor into a new entrance for Space Mountain. So as the overhaul of Disneyland's Tomorrowland drew near, the Space Place was permanently closed, and during the land's reconstruction, Space Mountain's original entrance was decommissioned and ultimately removed entirely. However, even today, you can still see traces of both the original Space Mountain entrance as well as the area that was once home to the Space Place, which was turned into a fast-pass distribution area in 1999. If you visited Main Street as an adult when the park opened in 1955, you would have most likely taken a visit to the Maxwell Coffee House, as it was the only location in the entire park to serve America's favorite caffeinated beverage, which sat next door to a certain announcement for a grand opening to a land that would ultimately never be built.
Head for the hills. Head for the hills, Brothers Coffee.
However, only 2 years later, in 1957, the Maxwell Coffee House became the Hills Brothers Coffee House, and in 1960, the area once reserved for the unbuilt Liberty Street would become an expansion of the coffee house. And in 1976, Hills Brothers was relocated to the Main Street Market House, and the coffee garden was reworked into the Town Square Cafe. However, just 2 years later, this would again be remodeled into the American Egg House.
And the American Egg House, where a wide variety of omelets are made in view of the guest.
However, in 1983, due to a lack of popularity compared to its predecessor, the American Egg House was reverted back to the Town Square Cafe and would remain mostly unchanged for the next decade. But around 1992, the restaurant was closed and would remain vacant for a number of years, until eventually being remodeled into an extension of its neighboring shop, the Disney Showcase. And even today, traces still remain of the former coffee shop and cafe, as well as the coffee garden. When Disneyland opened in 1955, one of the park's more unique dining options was the Chicken of the Sea pirate ship restaurant in Fantasyland.
I'm on the top of the pirate ship, the Chicken of the Sea pirate ship, and I think I can see coming now two of the most important people here. It's Mickey and Minnie Mouse.
In the weeks leading up to the grand opening of Disneyland, Fantasyland's pirate ship restaurant was far behind schedule, which resulted in its initially plain-looking appearance on opening day. But it wasn't long after that the additional details and design elements were added to the ship. And this, combined with the eventual growth of the surrounding landscape, solidified it as an iconic location. And the restaurant went mostly unchanged during the park's early years. But the pirate ship was more than just a restaurant, as it also served as a popular spot for photo opportunities, a chance to interact with pirates, or even hold a parrot. And its uniqueness made it one of visitors' favorite places to eat, despite mostly consisting of only tuna-related meals.
Mr. Wolf, Mr. Wolf, have you seen a very attractive man with deep, deep blue eyes, a heavenly smile, and flashing white teeth? Oh, no.
And in 1960, the small pond in which the ship resided was given even more visual flair, when the area was transformed into Skull Rock from Disney's Peter Pan, which included a rededication as attended by Walt Disney himself. And the addition of Skull Rock made the area even more of a visual treat, in which guests could walk behind the cascading waterfall, and at night, the lighting effects made the scenery even more breathtaking.
Who made this delicious tuna? Secretary of Tuna.
What's the best tuna? Chicken of the Sea.
In 1969, Chicken of the Sea declined to continue its sponsorship, so the restaurant was fittingly renamed as Captain Hook's Galley, and would drop most of its tuna offerings in favor of more traditional meal options.
Disneyland closed? It's never been closed before! What's happening, Mickey?
However, during the construction of New Fantasyland around 1983, while it was initially planned to move the pirate ship over to the Small World Promenade, due to the age of the ship's wooden structure and the fact that a large portion of its bottom half had been solidified in concrete, it would be impossible to move to its new location as had originally been done in 1955. So to the devastation of the restaurant's many fans, the decision was made to demolish the structure with bulldozers, and along with it, Skull Rock. And in its place would reside the new location for Dumbo. Though if you ever find yourself in Disneyland Paris, you could always visit its faithful recreation. If coffee wasn't your energizing beverage of choice when visiting Disneyland in 1955, both adults and children could venture to the Welchs Juice Bar in Fantasyland, which offered refreshing grape juice or even a grape juice popsicle.
Isn't that cute? She's asking for more Welch's frozen grape juice.
Located in between Snow White and what at the time was known as the Mickey Mouse Theater, the Welch's Juice Bar was decorated by a beautiful mural featuring characters from Fantasia, and as fans pointed out in later years, visually appealing juice dispensers. And in 1960, with the popularity of the Juice Bar, over on Main Street, the Puff and Bake Shop and Sunnyview Farms Jams would be converted into the Sunkist Citrus House. Good enough, which offered freshly squeezed orange juice, lemonade, and a handful of other foods and beverages.
Now, there it is, completely redesigned. The new Fantasyland in Disneyland.
However, back in Fantasyland in the early 80s, in preparation for the upcoming expansion of Fantasyland, both the Welch's Juice Bar and the Mickey Mouse Theater, which had been renamed as the Fantasyland Theater, were demolished, to make way for the Pinocchio Dark Ride and restaurant. And in 1989, the Sunkist Citrus House would become the Blue Ribbon Bakery, and eventually Gibson Girl Ice Cream. But if you ever find yourself in the Shanghai Disneyland Hotel, you can find a tribute to the Welch's Juice Bar in the form of a mural.
It's McDonald's Disney Videos Masterpiece Collection Happy Meal.
If you're like me, as a kid growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s, you most likely have fond memories of McDonald's and their Disney-related Happy Meal toys and collectibles. However, none of this would have been made possible if not for an exclusive 10-year, $100 million deal between the Walt Disney Company and McDonald's in 1996, which in addition to Disney products and promotions within the franchise's restaurants, would also include McDonald's locations within Disneyland itself. And while the first implementation occurred in Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom in 1997, in November of 1998, Conestoga Fries debuted at Disneyland's Frontierland, which was located nearby and paid tribute to the long-retired Conestoga Wagon Rides, and offered an assortment of French fries and French fries.
I see Woody, Jesse, Potato Head, you're there too!
What's with him?
Despite some negative feedback from visitors who found the presence of McDonald's ruined Disneyland's sense of immersion, Conestoga Fries was a massive success. And for the park's second McDonald's location, the Harbor Galley in Critter Country would undergo refurbishment, which saw the removal of their healthier dining options to now offering an assortment of French fries and French fries, though you could cross over to California Adventure and visit the recently opened Burger Invasion for a tasty Big Mac. Fast forward to 2007, in which Disney's 10-year contract with McDonald's had expired, and both parties opted not to renew. And while many believed this was due to Disneyland trying to incorporate healthier food options into the parks, as documentaries such as Super Size Me and books like Fast Food Nation had soured the public's perception of fast food. Another factor at play was Disney's string of box office duds, which affected the popularity of their exclusive Happy Meal toys. Regardless, the end of the deal led to the eventual closure of Conestoga Fries, Burger Invasion, and the Harbor Galley. However, Burger Invasion would eventually become a pizza place, and the Harbor Galley would revert back to selling seafood. So the next time you're at Disneyland, look around for these remnants of the past, as you never know what kind of Disney park history you may uncover. I hope you enjoyed the video, but before you go, I wanted to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how I created some of the effects in the video. If you're a fan of my content, you can probably tell that I love using visual gags to help tell the story, and I use a combination of Photoshop and After Effects to achieve this, with motion tracking and creating masks being a large part of the process. But what's amazing is that while a lot of what I know I picked up in film school and on production jobs, with Skillshare you can learn all of this and more right from your home, as they have over 19,000 classes that range from, in this case, After Effects and motion tracking, to even the fundamentals of writing, which plays a big role in telling these stories. And best of all, if you're one of the first 250 people to sign up for Skillshare using my link in the description, you'll get 2 months of premium membership for absolutely free, and only $10 a month after that. So sign up today and grow your passions and hobbies using Skillshare. And to avoid missing out on future content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Yesterworld.